Hi guys, this is the Forgetful Scholar. Let's chat about books. So this is going to be episode 2 of books I hate from authors I love. Now, if you've seen some of my videos before, you will not be surprised that this one's on the list. A Wallflower Christmas by Lisa Kleypas. Like, just what was that? The pacing felt rushed. You were telling more than you were showing. The only interesting things were Raph and Hannah, kinda. And if you told me they were the main couple, some points of the book, I would have been surprised. So it starts off with Lillian telling us that Raph is coming to get married because he's lonely. Turns out, that's not the reason. Not the reason at all. So did you write this, put it down, and come back to it? Because what is that? No. The father is like, you have to marry Lady Natalie to inherit my business. Meanwhile, Raph, a long time ago, said bye to him and made his own fortune. But he still wants part of the family business, which is fair. So he's going along with it. He's like, oh, if I gotta marry someone, I might as well be a person. Who cares who I'm marrying? That's kind of his attitude about it. So, not the best attitude about marriage, but okay. This is a historical, so sure. Marriages were more business deals than anything back then, so alright, I get it. Kind of. Hannah was very snobby at first, because, he's an American and he earned his fortune. Meanwhile, she works as a companion for her cousin, and she makes an allowance, not a salary. How dare you? She's really offended when he says that she makes a salary because that implies that she's a worker, a commoner. And he's like, oh yeah, what'd you do to get your allowance then? And she basically tidies up and chaperones her cousin. And he's like, he doesn't say anything else, but the reader's like, that's a job, honey. And then she works as a secretary for a scientist. Works for a secretary for a scientist. So what is your deal about the working class? Because, honey, you got 2 jobs. I mean, I don't hate the hustle. You can't hate the hustle, but it's 2 jobs. So why are you all of a sudden like, you're worker class. I can't. Oh, Americans, so gross. It's like, okay. Now, because it was only 200 pages and a novella and across the room, so, because it just rolled when I dropped it, I can't grab the book again, so, oops. I understood the pacing was going to be a lot faster. But there was so much revisiting of the original Wallflowers that I felt like you could take that out and maybe, I don't know, invest those pages in the actual plot. Because the actual plot was boring. So boring. I did not care. There was no consequence. There didn't seem like there would be anything that bad happen, and the epilogue was 3 paragraphs of oh well, this happened and this happened and this happened, almost like a note, like the author had a note to themselves about what they were going to do, but instead they just shoved that in the epilogue and we're supposed to be happy about it. No, I'm not. So we get an almost love scene with Raph and Hannah. They get to third base and Raph stops, which is fine, that's kind of typical, a kiss and then maybe something else, elevates, that's fine. But we did get love scenes with Evie and St. Vincent. We did get a very detailed angry sex, makeup sex / thing with Lillian and Marcus. Again, I have to remind you, because sometimes I forgot reading this, that Raph and Hannah are the main characters. That it's Raph and Hannah's book. Did you forget? Because I forgot sometimes. Because there's this weird, I guess I need more words for my word count, or I need more pages for my page count, so let me just put this in here. Lillian thinks that Marcus is cheating on her. And she goes to her sister, and Daisy's like, what? You think he's cheating? And she's like, well, not physically, because he has too much honor for that. But emotionally, because he's talking to this other girl and they're laughing. And I'm like, what the hell? And then Lillian all of a sudden has all these insecurities about being American and not being upper class. And she's married to Marcus. And when she confronts Marcus about it, she's like, I understand if you're going to cheat because that's just the way men are. But please don't bring it home and shame me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? who is this? This doesn't seem like Lillian that we read in the second book. Lillian was a little bit more vivacious and a little bit more confident than this. So what is this coming from? And instead of working on those issues, Marcus gets mad, shows her like, oh, I was buying you the surprise present for Christmas, and how dare you not trust me? And then they have makeup angry sex in the stable, and then because that fixes your issues. Like, dude, your wife thought you were cheating on her. Lillian, you thought your husband was cheating on you because all of a sudden these insecurities popped up. Makeup sex, no matter how hot, is not going to fix that. But like, nope, they just... And again, not the main characters of this story. So why did we get that? Why did we get this random subplot that was like introduced in the beginning of the book and then finished in the end of the book? So, like, through the middle of the book, when Raph and Hannah stuff was going on, I was distracted by the possibility of Marcus cheating on Lillian and really confused why this would be in this book. Usually, these type of books, you just kind of check in with the characters you read before and you see if they had more children and kind of see what's going on in their lives. It's supposed to be a quick little snapshot, not... oh, let's add them to the story. Let's put stuff in the story. Let's go. This could be their, sequel. That's not how these books are supposed to go. And I was super confused by that. Like, I was legitimately like, why is this storyline in here? Did you just need to... It felt like it was just kind of filling out the book. The love scene with Evie and St. Vincent, like, what was that? Like, they're not the main characters of this book. It's great to see them, but we didn't need that. You know what I mean? This isn't their story. Lillian and Marcus, all that was going on. And I'm like, there's such a random plot point you put in. And with Daisy, and again, I've read this book before I read Daisy's book because I thought this was before and it was Christmassy, so I was going to do it for the season. And in the third book, even St. Vincent, Daisy has like this encounter with the guy that works for St. Vincent. He's half Romani. So for the fourth book, I thought he would be like the guy she ends up with, but I'm not sure what's going on, but she ends up with someone else. So that was a random scene too. Like, why put that in? Like, I'm starting to see this weird pattern of just random shit stuffed into these books because what? You had to put it somewhere? Like, what is happening? You get a little... And I want... Like, you didn't have to do that. Like, Raph and Hannah themselves was interesting enough. Their plot, not so much, but maybe you could have taken those pages instead of having us, a Lillian Marcus love scene, angry, I don't trust you, whatever the hell that was. And, like, put it into maybe deepening the plot and making it a little bit more interesting. I don't know. It's just an idea. Yeah. So, like, it was just such a strange little book. Yeah, it had a happy ending. I wanted to know more about Raph and Hannah. Like, where did Hannah get the secretary job for this brilliant scientist? Kind of a little bit more in depth of why she ended up a companion for her, some, in the beginning, likable, later entitled and snotty, beautiful cousin. Because, the maid found this burned up love letter and she brought it to the girls and she's like, oh, isn't this a ha? The maid and Natalie were joking about it. Hannah's like, we shouldn't read his private thoughts. Like, he burned it for a reason. And Natalie's like, well, obviously for me. As the reader, you knew it was for Hannah. Like, there was no question. There was no, like, does he really like Natalie? Oh my gosh. There didn't seem to be any kind of, like, suspense or consequence or anything. But Natalie's like, of course it's for me. All the boys like me. I'm the prettiest. I'm the smartest. Someone push her out of a window, please. Or just shove her face in a pie. That would be fine, too. Just, and like, it's just like, oh, I don't think we're going to get a book with Natalie. I hope not, because she's, at the end of the book, she's engaged to this guy that she's like, oh, he's so boring. He won't kiss me, even when all the other guys kiss me. All right. So she's engaged to that guy at the end of the book. I really hope we don't get a Natalie story, because honestly, I wouldn't read it. I just wouldn't. I say that now, but watch if they do. It turns out she does have it. Watch me read it. So, I mean, the best I could say about this book is that it had a happy ending. This is 1 star. I hated it. Never gonna read it again. Kind of contemplating donating it, but I kind of like the idea of having all the Wallflower series books in my possession, so maybe I won't. I don't know. Let's see if the hoarder inside of me, the collector inside of me, takes over on that. But it was just such a. I don't know what happened. Like, for such a brilliant writer to tell, not show, was weird enough. To give almost equal time to side characters when it's like not their book was weird. And I kind of felt bad because I'm like, this is Raph and Hannah's like only book, and you're kind of, I don't know, it's 200 pages, and I felt like maybe a little over 100 pages was about them, and the rest was all about the Wallflowers. And I was like, that is a big chunk of this kind of a book. Like, that is too much. It's too much. No, it's too much. So, I don't know. So that's that. Thanks for listening to me rant. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.